All right. I would ask that the Grand Marais Park and Rec Board meeting of Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022 come to order. It's about, 4:50?
Yep.
And the tentative agenda is in front of you. Present, Craig, Matthew, myself, Dave, Paul, Sam is not here, and then Steve is out of town and Kay is out of town. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, Bob, we'll put it under new business, but we'll have a proposal from Todd Miller and the Grand Marais Music Collaborative
Got
on
it.
music in the park,
Got it.
as well as individual musicians' special event application for busking in the park.
And then Steve's request about dog facilities at the rec park, do you want to do that this month or next month?
Let's set that for June.
Okay. And the timber frame you have on the agenda.
Yep, new business.
All right. Any other additions to the agenda? Otherwise, a motion for approval? You have to move.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. April minutes are in front of you. Steve had a comment about the minutes, something about leaves. Do you know what that was, Dave?
I think it was referring to the leash.
The leash,
A leash, okay,
Yep.
okay,
which all went to the dog
yeah,
enclosement area,
yeah,
perhaps.
yeah, next month.
Yeah.
All right, otherwise, is there a motion the minutes be approved?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved, thank you very much. We move on to business, and first is Paul on the golf report.
Okay. Well, golf isn't open yet, but I've been up there and we've got, a couple of feet of snow yet on the course. It's pretty impressive, but it's changing quite a bit. I mean, it changed even while we were there today. You could see, openings starting but there's I'm not exactly sure how long that's going to be on there. We were talking about tentatively trying to target a date of opening around May 20th, which would be great. With this much snow, the latest we've started since I've been here has been, I think it was the 18th of May, the first year. It's real wet. Last year was May 8th, so obviously the mid-month is probably the average, but I don't know that we're gonna be there this year just because we're under snow right now. But we're up at the clubhouse, our staff's in place. People will be kind of starting up next week, giving the deep cleaning and getting things placed as we can as the course opens up. Then we just see what winter did to us and go from there.
And that's it.
That's it. I mean, do we cover this at this time, Dave? Or?
Yeah, I think it's a good time to address it.
Okay.
Please talk about it. The draft language for Gunflint Hills Golf Course tournament and group sales pricing. So this is based on being fair, being able to respond to groups with a policy that's written down and being, uniform. We've had a few requests, local nonprofits, charitable groups, hoping for a discount. We just want to set it straight, make it fair for everyone. So you see the language I presented here as far as, we're a municipal golf course. Part of that means we can't offer charitable donations. We can't just give away free golf. We can't, the same applies to the campground where we can't make donations for some of these groups that ask. We can buy sponsorship and business underwriting. That's oftentimes how we can contribute to the local event makers. But when it comes to free golf, that's just really a non-starter. And so we want to make sure we have that in writing. That first statement's pretty basic and
And that includes discounts on golfing?
We can do
We
discounts.
can do
Okay.
discounts.
Yeah, so the idea of no free golf is universal,
Gotcha.
but then that's where we get into those next few statements about we can negotiate with groups on discounted tournament play if it's, if it fits our needs, if it fits our calendar. And after talking with Paul, and such a short season up there, such a short window to make money on weekends in particular, that's where some of that language came about, where we just don't want to offer discounted tournament play on weekends in June, July, and August.
Yeah, we just don't really have any other bailout facility for anybody in town that wants to golf. So,
Is there a policy book that you keep for,
This would be it. This
We're
is the-
right.
so there will be a policy book?
Well, not a book, but
A page, a policy
it'll be a
page.
park board minutes.
Right, okay, got
Or
it.
this sheet can be available for reference,
Right.
but it really levels that playing field of the asks from
Yeah.
groups, so they know what to expect. They know we just don't do it, give it away. And then if they're, willing to work with our schedule, we'll negotiate a price and a date that's suitable, I think is all this is.
Something laminated you can flip open and then quote.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay,
Posted on the wall.
yeah,
But no,
exactly.
really just something in writing to be fair to all groups.
Yeah.
Because we've had this asked a couple times in the last year. Now we've got the Y back, looking for a tournament.
yeah, although they were kind of looking for like a prime, like prime summer weekend. So that's where we have a problem because that's we have so much demand for play and we don't we only have a dozen weekends or so. It's not that many, and so.
And which, are they talking like Fisherman's Picnic type weekend or around there, or are they, August are they looking for?
Well, yeah, the end of July.
End of July, so before, okay.
Yeah. Or was it? Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
initially
'Cause, yeah,
it was
August is the-
Fisherman's.
Fisherman's is the first weekend in August,
weekend.
right?
Yeah, the first Saturday.
Yeah, and then after that, I think things simmer down. It's as far as the traffic starts waning a little bit after that. Mid August, and same thing coming into the summer. The kids traditionally get out of school by mid June, and that's when the tourism begins.
So have you spoke with them about alternate weekends and if they're available to move into later August or earlier in July or something, or are they just want it because that's probably gonna be a gorgeous weekend or a nice weather weekend?
Well, yeah, I guess that, you're just thinking of optimum weather and when most people are up and that sort of thing. But, it creates a problem for anybody else who wants to use the course
Right.
at that time. But we have other options, like just putting it on a different day is an option, or, I guess we had talked about trying to tie something in with the fisherman's picnic, and which might open up a possibility for a Sunday. If we're tying that in with a city group.
So last year when you had, there was a request, well, there was a tournament actually. What time of year was that when they did that one?
That one was in August,
Was that in August? Okay. On a weekend?
Sunday, yeah.
Sunday?
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's where we had talked about they had wanted some, well, they just wanted basically to have a fundraiser there and,
Right.
and use the course. So then that's where the language of that we can't do donations is different.
So is this statement new? Is this all new? Or do you have something in place already, but
No.
nothing that's been adopted?
Nothing on the record or in writing. This first statement's, I've, universally had, that's been my response to groups that solicit for donations,
Yeah.
just as the marching orders from City Hall. But yeah, this would, if we adopt this, I think it's a good thing.
Well, yeah, it's very helpful for you. to tell the same thing to everybody. There it is. It's right there. It's written
Yeah,
down.
yeah, you don't want to offend anybody, you know?
No.
And then you, just so that they know what their options are, and then they can plan
Yeah.
accordingly.
Just out of curiosity, how many are in a group? Or when you talk about group sales, like on Monday and Tuesday throughout the season, do you have a number of that you discount for like 10 people, or is it got to be how many people in a group?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about where they're, basically where we're shutting off play for the day, and
Oh,
they're
okay.
taking over the course, kind of for a
Gotcha.
tournament. Yeah. Yeah, we've had people come in with smaller groups and want to do that, and we can arrange that. It's just a matter of grabbing a block of tee times, but generally, you know, we don't have a discount. We had somebody that was looking for a discount last year. It tied into we could offer them her like fall rate, you know, which is a little bit lower,
Mm-hmm.
and so that worked out for him, I guess. But you know.
So the first point is covered, no discounts, or no donation. Second point, you're okay with that, Paul? No groups on weekends?
Well, yeah, within within the parameters, our prime time
Right.
weekends, which are, you know, basically July and August, and you know, coming out both sides of the beginning of August and the tail end of June.
And then the third point, discounted groups available Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, yeah.
Outside of the peak season?
Well, yeah,
The weekends outside of the peak.
yeah, because it seems like anybody coming in with a tournament, they're asking for a discount, you know.
Mhm.
So it'd be feasible to maybe do something on those days.
And then you're the guy that they negotiate with in advance on groups and scheduling and
Okay,
support and all that?
I guess so.
And the size of the group.
And the
I
size.
mean, we're obviously not saying no to any type of thing somebody brings to us.
Yeah.
Because if your group, like you said, you're mostly, you want some language in here to be available that takes care of a group big enough that, like you said, wants to take over the whole course for a Saturday and a Sunday. And we're basically saying it's hard for us to do this, you know, during peak season.
Well, yeah, it's
I
just
mean,
it's
to
a
shut
matter
it
of,
down for all other users
yeah.
for like a major tournament of some kind. But I mean, that's going to be discretion on your part then, if the group is sizable enough to let happen or not let happen. That's kind of what this last point is then, is that,
As far as the primetime weekends?
right, primetime season is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have a lot of leeway there because, you know, we just, you know, if you ran a tournament there at full retail, you might get a few more players there than you might on a busy day,
Right.
but it's not gonna be much different.
Okay.
So it's, you know, that's just where you run into difficulties of just having 9 holes, you know, no other options. If you lock up the course, then, you know, your general public out there is not happy about it. They're going to go elsewhere.
Right.
You know.
Dave, anything else?
I recommend approval of this language.
Okay, and this is draft, you wanna put it in gold gilded lettering and make it look good and,
But as is.
okay, okay. All right, is there a motion for approval of the
I'll approve
tournament and
this
sales pricing?
as is language, yes. I'll make a motion for that.
The only other discussion that I want to make on this is, I guess I understand where you're coming from. I understand where the golf course is coming from use of the course by the general public during peak season. But I also understand that some golf courses have tournaments of some kind. And most likely they're on weekends. So how do they handle that, other courses? Because they have 18 holes, they can
Well, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, I mean, there's,
Like the YMCA thing, for example, when was that done? We did that, was that 2 years ago that they had that up here, or was it last year?
yeah, that was on a Sunday, I don't recall, but
Okay, it was on a Sunday,
yeah,
and that was quite a few golfers. I mean,
yeah.
I guess, so the point I'm making, are we saying no to any tournaments during peak season, period? Or what if it's on a Sunday?
Well,
Or,
yeah, I mean, well, I did kind of open up a, like on Fisherman's Weekend or,
yeah,
or something that was tying in with the city group or something. We could talk about it, but we won't be able to offer a discount would be the point.
okay, so
Yeah.
we're just talking, yeah, I understand the discount part of it, but
So, if somebody's coming in for their fundraiser or whatever, is that an attractive deal for them? Are they looking for a discount? If that's their main objective, then they should pick a different day,
right.
um,
But if they're not looking for a discount and they want to have some type of tournament, we're open to that?
Yeah, we're pretty limited, just because we just have a very compressed season.
Because of tee times and all that kind of people that are lined up? Okay,
Yeah, I mean, we really do, it's really compressed. Our prime time is, really the 4th of July through to the beginning of August,
yep,
And-
middle, end of August, school starts, then everything, yeah.
And anybody that's gonna, want a tournament's gonna be, probably
They're all in that time.
in July,
Right.
nice and warm and lots of people but, a lot of clubs have variable tournaments. A lot of clubs, they'll set up for the club to make a lot of revenue off it. And, that'd be something that maybe the city would want to do, I don't know, but,
Well, that's kind of the point I'm making is, if you get a big tournament or somebody wants to do something on our course, that would obviously be a revenue generator for the golf course, plus bring in new people from other areas, if that's what it happens to be. I think that's something we should consider to look at
yeah, absolutely.
least, even though it might be a prime time kind of thing, try to work the dates, I'm just a little, I don't want to say no, that we're not ever going to do this,
No, I get it. And and so the second statement, we were playing around with we are unable to offer tournament play to groups on weekends during the peak season.
Yeah.
What if it read, we are unable to offer discounted tournament play? to
Yeah, because I
groups?
read that and I didn't see anything about discounts. I mean, I understand the discount.
Yeah, and that's
feature.
what that sentence is probably missing then.
Okay.
So we're unable to offer
Discounted tournament play to groups during, yeah, okay.
You accept that, Matt?
And that's the idea of a third-party group coming in looking for a fundraiser like the Y.
Right.
But if we're able to someday organize and manage our own tournament, internally as a moneymaker, as an attraction, like then that's over
Different.
the horizon right now because of staffing and cards and, resources, but it's still an option we want to leave open for ourselves.
And there's a lot of clubs that have, late season tournaments too, that, don't affect the prime time too, like
Right.
club championships and
Right, because you have those. I mean, we have your men's league, how many nights a week?
there's a couple different groups with that, and we're trying to get a women's.
Women's, men's league, yeah, okay. Okay,
So Matthew, you accept discounted in that second paragraph?
Yeah.
as
You're fine with that?
acceptable?
Yeah.
okay,
Everybody okay with that?
yep. So we have a motion, and then,
You had a second, Matthew
Yeah.
amended, or at least it's a friendly amendment.
yeah, we amended
Right.
that, and you're okay with that, Matthew, okay?
I'm okay, and
Yeah.
you're okay, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dave?
I think I'll second his motion with that change on that second part. So you have a motion and a second, I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to accept the draft language as amendment. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Done deal.
Thank you.
All right,
I think
Thanks, sir.
it needs to look pretty than this, but you'll
Thank you.
take care of that.
thank you.
you know, maybe we could get a plow up there and just plow off the range tee so we can hit balls.
Yeah, just go ahead and hit them off, and we'll get them for you later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You just gotta clear the tee though, I mean, you
Being
still
cross
can't.
country
yeah.
skiing
It's,
now, you don't
well,
need
there's a
car.
little corner of it
Is there?
showing. It's green
Yes.
so far.
yeah.
Ski golf.
Ski golf,
concept.
there you go.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
See you
Wish you a
later.
good season.
Okay, city council, Craig?
Yeah. let's see, but the only thing that might pertain to us anyway is just an update on the Go Dog North dog walking area that is proposed to be built on the top of Fifth, top of the Gunflint, we make the turn. They came before the city council last week, and they want to incorporate phase one with their phase two plan so that they can build out the whole park at one time instead of doing it over the course of two separate times. Since they're getting the fencing arranged and they did raise quite a bit of money, they figure they can come before us now with a finished product. And I know we're drafting legal language on the land right now, and so
It's gonna be a lot of clearing, yeah?
well, that's one question I asked because I thought, technically, well, really, actually, there's not going to be a lot of clearing because there's going to be a lot of trails.
Gotcha.
Okay, so in that second phase incorporates a power line that already goes through that property, so there'll be trails that'll run the perimeter of the fencing, and then there will be trails through the woods. The dogs can obviously run anywhere they want, but the people who are in there with the dogs there's trails that will make up most of the area. There's not gonna be a lot of clearing, like an open park
Right.
type
Okay.
look. It's not gonna have that visual look, so. So the city went ahead and they're moving ahead with their plans on that.
So the whole thing is fenced in, and then there's gonna be trails with inside there?
Correct. And a parking lot on the east side of the property, which would be the west side of the Gunflint.
Right.
Parking, 30
So
by
it's-
30 by 100-foot parking, and there'll be an entrance that'll actually go into the parking lot, one entrance, maybe two, they don't know for sure yet. That design is going before the county highway department to look at that. But there'll be parking there, and then a gate that lets you into the dog park.
And then are the trails within there, are they gonna have wood chips on them or something? Or are they just gonna be just
I
dirt,
don't
or-
know how elaborate they're gonna get on that,
Okay.
but they're gonna be brushing those trails and
Yeah.
maintaining those trails. That'll be part of the area that'll be, as time goes on into the future, it'll be maintained by Go Dog North.
Including all, like, the garbage and stuff? That's
Yep,
Generated.
yep,
So they do the poop scooping too,
yep.
Well, yeah.
if there is any.
Someone's gotta drop the
Yep.
poop scoop, the scooped poop somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
So
a lot
it'll
of
be,
it.
So that was, I think that's all I have.
All right, thanks.
Park would be interested in, yeah.
The Parks Report, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Everyone's got a copy of a couple, 3 paragraphs here from May. So we got open on time. Is I think the exciting news. May 1st was our target date for water and bathhouse service, and it warmed up just in time last week. Thursday or so, we saw some overnight lows above freezing, finally. And the seasonal staff started on the Monday, the 25th, just our couple of core staff members, a custodian and a maintenance worker. And we had a successful spring commissioning, I guess I call it, where we bring the water systems out of hibernation. There's quite a few zones down there in the park between all 4 bathhouses and 300 sites. It's quite a process we were into all last week. But the good news is there's no major leaks. We're actually just fixing a valve today that was stuck underground, one of these curb stops that are, 6-7 feet down from the main supply lines that got a lot of help and cooperation from the public utilities, from the water department, the electric department. We all came together as a team to dig that up today, get that fixed. And, we've got a couple, 3 weeks here until we're really, up to speed and busy for what's the long weekend is known as Victoria Day weekend, Canadian weekend before Memorial Day. It's the 20th, Friday the 20th. Kind of what Paul and I are shooting for is getting the course open. Same goes for the park being fully online and the other 2 bathhouses coming up. And that'll be nice to have a few more weeks here to, I feel like we're already a couple weeks behind with how April was.
So when you number the bathhouses, I'm not sure, but the number one is at the furthest to the west?
That's number 4.
That's number 4, okay.
Yeah, we start on the east side of
On the
number
east side.
1. That's the one above the Marina
Gotcha.
in that seasonal neighborhood.
Yep.
And then number 2 is the little one just south of the park office.
Yep.
Number 3 is in the middle, south of the rec hall playground area. And number 4 is out west across from the ball field. And we really see the bulk of our guests and users right now in the number 1 and number 4 zones. It's kind of convenient how folks like to stay either out by the ball field area for the overnight traffic. They're using Bathhouse 4. And then the seasonal, May to October people are starting to trickle back, and they generally prefer their own trailers, but when they do use the bathhouse, it's Bathhouse 1.
And just because I haven't been a part of this before, but so what's the status of those? Are they in good shape? Do they need a lot of work? I mean, they're
We're constantly updating and fixing and improving, and they're in good shape.
good.
Yeah, but this time of year, we got project lists for painting and fixture repair. A lot of kind of, you could say that when the seasonal water gets turned on and off, there's grit, there's rust, there's all sorts of stuff that ends up through the system that plugs gaskets and seals, and so we're into that mode now of like several like toilets that won't stop running because they're full of grit. So we take them offline, replace gaskets and fixtures as needed. But ultimately we have the idea of capital improvement plans that replaces bathhouses, and Bathhouse 3 is been making that list, that top 3 priorities for bathhouse replacements.
Mm-hmm.
The one in the middle of the park there, south of the rec hall, is in a high
Right.
traffic zone. It's a bit undersized. It'd be the next rebuild once we're into that mode. Bathhouse 4, we still call it the new bathhouse, but it is approaching 20 years old. But it still feels good. It was built in like 04, 05. Marina is the next focused in as well. Like, we've got to get the docks sorted, right? We've got them in a pile right now with the de-icing over the winter. We're pulling out de-icers, washing all that gear, putting it away. Probably tomorrow we'll start jacking up pipes and moving docks around and getting them set for the season. I'll go out in the harbor as well and set some mooring balls over the next few weeks. Yacht Club dock is going in this Saturday. That's that temporary storage dock down by the picnic pavilion. That'll get floated across the bay Saturday morning. Open up that space. So the park office is open 7 days a week now, 8 to 4 until, we'll have some like 6 o'clock closings and 8 o'clock as we approach the end of the month. Like on Memorial Day Friday, I think we've got 120 some check-ins on 150 sites. So we'll be open to 8 o'clock on that night. And once we get into the peak, June through September, we run 8 to 8. So we're open. We're getting lots of calls. Obviously, folks are watching the weather, and now that it's sunny and warming up, we'll start to see more and more folks. Seasonals especially, the May to October people, there's probably a dozen on their way this weekend. Other good news here is from the DNR. We were notified a few weeks ago in April that the State Park Road Fund grant we applied for last fall was successfully awarded. We put in for $109,000 and change. It's state, MnDOT, state aid road money, and so it actually has quite a, process for spending and bidding, and it's the county engineer, actually the county highway department is the fiduciary agent for these funds. So it's lucky that we have a good relationship with those folks. Robbie Haas, the county engineer, back in the fall supported this application, so he certainly knew it was coming. He's familiar with this fund, with the State Park Road Fund. He's actually applied for it in the past, so he's familiar with all the guidelines of it and the specs. We had a nice teleconference last Thursday, Robbie, Mike Roth, and I, and then we had the MnDOT team and the DNR team all on the screen, and we talked about this grant and the parameters and the timing. And yes, we do need engineered plans, even though it's a simple overlay. Yes, it does need to be bid in the appropriate public bidding process. And yes, it's got to jump through a lot of MnDOT and DNR administrative reviews and hoops, so that we had initially thought, well, we'll have this work done this season, KGM is in the park doing the paving at the parking lot. Won't we save a few dollars that way? You know, is this the season to do it? And it turns out it might not be, just based on timing and the county and the state and the, you know, all needing to work together. Robbie's already underway with his construction season and feels like he doesn't have the capacity right now to rush this one through. And we completely get that. We're at the, you know, basically it's his timeline that's driving this project. We're still gonna reach out to LHB, which is the city engineering firm, to get those engineered plans. But part of that is this, you look at the specs for these state aid road monies, and they base street designs and street plans on, you know, MnDOT spec. And if it's a 30-mile-an-hour street, it's gotta be X amount wide, it's gotta have X amount of clearing. And initially, we looked at some of those specs and thought, well, we got a 10-mile-an-hour road.
Yeah,
We really don't wanna
yeah.
clear, and we got sites maybe within some of this, you know.
We don't want it to be 30 mile an hour.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And so that's part of the process. We'll work with the state. We can get a variance, and we can keep that, you know, small park charm of that road where it doesn't become this wide thoroughfare.
Yeah.
So it's a
And
process.
it's
It'll
your
play
only
out.
road.
Yeah,
I mean, whatever they do, the other half is gonna take the traffic. I mean,
yeah.
it's gonna be icky.
But it's based on car counts, and we'll just, you know, continue to work with the state and the county on this.
It seems to me I remember that there was speed bumps in there.
They were temporary.
They're
We've tried
temporary.
those in the past, yeah, seasonally installed speed bumps were deployed years ago to
Right.
try to curtail the speeding. They sort of ended up with more biker, a couple times bikers
People on
crashed
bikes
on
hit
them.
them and it was not good for
Yeah,
people on
and most
bikes.
people cut them, you know, most people cut them, because you can, and
They drive around
They
them.
drive
Yeah.
around them.
Well,
Or
yeah,
if
so
there's a
half
cut in
the,
the middle, you mean, or something.
half
I
the
guess
car
the
hits
read was they were causing more harm than good.
Right. Those are
just-
temporary ones. You just
Yeah.
stuck in there.
Yeah, kind of like what they
Yeah,
do at
they
the
were temporary.
Yeah.
hub. But, you know, in the meantime, we'll patch up the road best we can. It's really withstood a lot of truck traffic with the boat launch. You know, last summer we thought it was doomed with all the rock that they hauled down it, but it withstood that well. It was a dry year, it was helpful. And, you know, we're still gonna see some truck traffic this year. Hopefully we'll get through it. We'll get fresh pavement when the time is right.
Yeah.
At the Active Living Committee this morning, Marin Webb said that the share the lane signs that the DOT puts up have been found to do more harm than good. You'd think they'd be congenial, and they turned out to be dangerous. So you gotta look at that stuff,
There's always
Yeah.
the real world.
yeah.
And I know we talked this, but how about some of the other roads in the? There's some
That
that
we
have
can do without this state aid money, and I'm hopeful
just
that
patching them and stuff. I mean,
overlaying, yeah, it's, you know, overlay, which is
oh,
what,
actually overlay them all.
yeah, a couple inch overlay
Yeah.
fills in all that cracks and, you know, what, the bumpiness of that southern road down by the tent sites in the
Right.
ball field is really big of a fix, a bigger fix if we were to do it right, and that would, again, that would impact those campsites and everything around there.
Right.
Oftentimes that settles down, and honestly, it creates a natural speed bump. That we want people driving ultra slow on those roads because they're so
Right.
narrow and congested. And so,
Those are like frost heaves, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
yeah.
Hmm.
Those roads are.
Aaron Brown
underbuilt.
has a column on that yesterday on the
Yeah.
Minnesota speed bumps. They're automatic.
Yeah.
They'll take your axle right out.
Yeah. But yeah, I think with, like I said, with KGM on site and the asphalt plant set up, I would probably be good pricing to do some overlays on some of those side roads.
Hmm.
And we'll pursue that. That's within our capital improvement plan. It's been a number of years since we've spent that funding, but we've done it in the past. We spent, you know, $30,000 here, $25,000 there. And then the last bit of construction news is from CJ and LHB, our team working on the landing, the overlook over in the east side next to the community connection corner above the little timber frame bridge. You know, we've been looking at concept plans and construction documents for that over the last year or two. Those documents and specifications were all bundled up and made available for bidding at the start of April is when those went live. CJ and LHB are the initial administrators of the bids. They're being received at the LHB offices in Duluth. The deadline for sealed bids is May 9th. 2 p.m. on May 9th is when they're gonna open up the bids for public viewing at the LHB offices in Duluth. And we're really like fingers crossed on these ones, because, you know, we've sort of earmarked $250,000 for this project. We've got an additional $50,000 coming in from IRRB granting. So for a total of $300,000 is our price point on this project, which fit those initial cost estimates from a year ago. We'll see what happens with the market. We were able to offer some add alternates to these plans where we can piece it out, where just the concrete work, the landing itself, the dirt work, all of that is the big price package. And then the arbors, the wood structured arbor, is a separate add alternate price, as well as the architectural, artistic steel panels as a second add alternate price. So these bids will come in as one lump sum for the entire project, as well as the add alternate sums for the wood and the steel art, which will really give us that flexibility to build what we can afford.
Does that go
The
here?
goal and the
or
hope
to the-
is to get it all done at once.
Does that come here or to the council?
It'll eventually be reviewed and approved by council.
Yeah.
And I think our timing is such that, that's why the May 9th opening, council meets on the 11th. It was ambitious to think like we can have this in front of council next Wednesday, but that's a rough goal. Because the construction season is on us, these bids were like, start construction as soon as the contract's awarded, which we were hoping for in May.
Have there been any so far?
I don't know that, but I've seen a list of plan holders, and it's a good half a dozen or more firms.
Good.
That's about all I've got. Like I say, we're soft opening, seasonal staff's returning. Feeling good about that. We've got good staff. We've had 3 new hires. City Council picked them up last month, so they're officially hired. They started yesterday, and that's feeling really good. We're only as good as our staff, and I'm really thankful to have what looks to be a good staff this year.
And the Niji is doing okay for the season?
Still there.
It's
Haven't
ge-
heard from the Historical Society, though.
It's getting a lot of chatter as part of the North House discussion,
Oh, good.
as example A and then North House and example B. And so it gets quoted a lot.
As it should.
So I hope everybody's happy down there, yeah.
I've yet to hear from Bjorn and the restoration crew, but I would expect them to start to stage their work this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did talk to Marais about that specifically over at the Bali thing this weekend, and she said that they were looking at it again just to make sure what has to be done before they move it, you know. And can it be moved, or does it have to be done there? And they just wanted to get another person looking at it again, just to make sure that they're all on the right page. But
And then moving it sets a precedent for North House. And as part of one of those discussions, I mentioned that it's a boat. It's made to move. Fish houses are not made to move. And therein lies the difference. But anyway, it gets quoted a lot, talked about. Okay, thanks, Dave. Old business, anything? Under new business, timber frame.
Yeah, so speaking of North House,
Yeah,
here's just a very rough concept. Not anything we're ready to build yet, because we need review and discussion and, consensus. But I'll give you the story with this. Now, we're looking at a timber frame picnic pavilion in the Marina. Would replace an existing event tent structure that's in the Marina right now. It's supplied by a couple of charter fishermen down there. Have set up this idea of like 2 picnic tables under a little white tarpy tent. And it's, pretty good deal, pretty popular, but
pretty fragile when it comes to wind and just a really exposed location down there. And it turns out it lasts about 3 or 4 years is the typical life of this tent. And the fishermen have always asked for a decent pavilion structure, and the idea of a timber framed, what you're looking at now, you know, really fits the aesthetic down there. Very similar to obviously the North House's design. It would be coming from a North House class, as we did the shelters out in the picnic, or out in the Sweethearts Bluff area a couple seasons ago. You know, that was a part of a timber framing class where we're able to take advantage of their students and their labor. We would only pay for materials. But this would replace what's been this supplied tent over picnic tables. And right now, I'm really just looking for discussion and thoughts and feelings and, you know, an eventual, yes, please proceed, or no, let's wait, is really where we're at with this project.
Is that pouring a slab?
No. Good question, Matthew. The fact that we haven't master planned the marina, there's very, like, when the '09 master plan was created, it purposely did not plan the marina area. And that is why we wouldn't pour a slab or do any permanent changes down there. Part of this is the idea that it's movable, non-permanent, that it can float on, you know, concrete pad blocks. It's very stable, you know, it's cobblestone down there, so we don't see any issue with the soil.
Right.
But yeah, it would be future movable.
30 of us picked up that one on the dock and moved it like 3, 4 years ago, and none of us have been the same since.
Well, we would use a
We're
crane.
we're not going to do that.
They're not gonna call you
We're not going to
again.
do that again.
We would use a crane. And so part of what we're looking at here, at 12 by 24, is the idea that it would come apart in the middle and move. Like if you kind of really
yeah.
study the plans on back,
Yeah.
it's built to move. Spatially, though, we're not set on the size right now. We're just back and forth with Peter Hendrickson as the timber frame designer here. We're kind of thinking 4 picnic tables underneath. And so his suggestion, which is a good one, is like model that. Set up 4 picnic tables, measure that out, see what that, you know, equals. Because I just threw out 12 by 24. The current tent down there, the little white tent, is the 2 picnic table edition. It's about 10 by 16.
There's one up by the school. I could go measure that. I can't remember. There's a
Well,
hanging,
like I
there's a
said-
hanging fireplace in it,
Yeah, it's
plus
real
there's
nice.
picnic tables.
I think that's bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know how big it is, but it's a nice, gives it a nice look. And
Beautiful building, yeah.
so this would be something that the North House would create through one of their classes, and we are responsible for the materials. That sounds like a pretty good deal for us, I think.
It has been. Like I
Yeah.
say, that's how we got the 2 in the Sweethearts Bluff area.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're looking at $3,000 to $5,000 for the materials.
Yep.
So you said, you know, a lot of fishermen are asking for this, and this is like a gathering place. But what about cleaning stations and things like
We-
that? Are they asking for more of that?
No, we got a
We have
fish
that
cleaning
further
station.
on down the line.
I saw that, so, and that's
Yeah.
still good. I get that structure is still good and
Yeah.
usable, and they're not saying we need a new cleaning station or something.
I'm sure they would if you asked
Well, I'm
them.
sure that, yeah.
But I mean, it's a good. You guys feel it's okay. I mean, it's
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is more
that's
of
part the
a,
master planning process.
right. I was going to say,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bigger thing. But obviously, they can't combine these two. But just curious if they're.
no.
No, we got a good little fish cleaning shack. We got concrete counters in there that are newer, solid, very useful, very
Right.
functional. We freeze the guts next door in the deep chest freezers to prevent any kind of
you know,
smell.
it's a
And
pretty clean operation.
It's
Yeah,
really, yeah,
that's
it's
nice.
really good deal for now. It is, again, inside of that revisit of the master plan and including the marina and, you know, permanent improvements down there. We would certainly look at a rebuild of the fish cleaning station.
That great. Yeah.
But, you know, who knows where.
Is
So
this-
that's the appeal of this movable structure, is that we could put it up, enjoy it, you know, while we're in a present status quo, but once we revisit planning and are ready to make some permanent improvements down there, we could move it.
And there's no underground tanks around there or anything.
Nope, not there.
They're further to the east.
They're further to the east,
North.
west,
West. Sorry,
West.
yeah.
Northwest, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and like I say,
Yeah.
it's a concept right now. It's roughly priced at 3,000 to 5,000, depending on size. Peter and the North House team have a class in August. So we've got, we don't have to decide tonight on the final designs and prices. Just a green light to proceed is really all I'm looking for.
Well, if you can get it done from materials, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it really answers the call to make that space useful for,
Mm-hmm. And they
Yeah,
do
they
use that
use it.
one white tent a lot.
yeah,
I mean, it's used a lot.
This
so-
gives it more of a permanent look.
Yeah.
Not that it's gotta be permanent, of course, but,
thoughtful,
yeah.
intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It matches the bridge.
yep.
It's very inviting.
They don't have to worry about
Wind won't
wind.
blow it over, hopefully.
Do you
Well, we
need to,
hope not.
need to look at setbacks and all that stuff, or not?
No, it's
No?
just temporary.
Okay.
Be on the other side of the sidewalk, or the walkway from the marina. Yeah, I mean, I make a motion that we pursue this and in its final, if we can decide on a final size, I guess that'd have to come back to us again then.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can look at more details in June.
okay. Well, I suggest that we move ahead. I don't know if we need a motion on that or
Yeah,
not, but
yeah.
move ahead on pursuing a final concept, a final plan and working with the North House on
And possibly this year we're talking.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I second
And
that.
it's something they would probably build, don't they cut the pieces like on their campus
Yeah.
and then assemble it?
Yeah.
It'd be easy, it's a convenient place to
Yeah.
assemble for
Oh,
them,
goodness,
for that
yeah.
class.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I second it.
Okay.
All right, moved and seconded to proceed with the project. All in favor?
Aye.
It's a done deal.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. It needs a cost and some finessing, but, yeah.
We'll bring back more details in June.
Okay.
The idea of a dog park at the campground was raised by Steve Aldrich in his email today, and we're gonna kick that to June, right, Dave? I don't know how that would work, but it would take some land. And then, very patient in the back row. It's yours, yeah.
Todd Miller, come
Yeah,
on up.
Todd.
Right here's fine, Todd.
Anywhere, yeah. Thanks for waiting.
Thank you, no
You
problem.
could tell we had
Thanks for all you guys do.
really serious items we were discussing there.
Todd's park board alum.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
There you go.
6 years at least.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thanks. Dave asked me to drop by tonight to update you. There's nothing to really vote on here. And to keep you abreast of the progress that we're making at the Marais Music Collaborative. We were approached by, I'm the board chair of the Marais Music Collaborative, and we were approached by Jamada. And if I get any of my acronyms wrong, let me know.
You got it.
No.
Jamada.
To help to organize one of the busking in the park programs. I think there are sort of two simultaneous running music in the park programs. One of them is a busking in the park program, which you've heard of, and I think I watched one of your meetings the other day. The other is the one that a grant was created last year, and musicians were organized to play on Sunday, Mondays, and Tuesdays, and the schedule was created. There was some discussion about things that could have been done better, and the Jamada reached out to us to ask if we could organize it this year on behalf of the same musicians that would like to do it. And if so, then they would grant the funds again, and we would go forward. So that's what we're doing. We have submitted a request to Jamada for the same funds as the previous year. We would be the organizing entity. We would issue checks to musicians. We would issue W-9s, 1099s, excuse me. We would deal with any feedback, concerns, or complaints. And essentially, and you might want to correct me if I'm wrong on this, essentially act like a subcommittee to the park board. And in so doing, hopefully field or deal with any additional footwork necessary for this program. And after the year's over, take a look at it and see how we did. Are there anything specific you want me to jump on?
No, I think it's that idea of like, so Music in the Park, we've been approving individual musicians for
That's my
busking.
question, yeah, what's the difference here?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
like a promotional or a sponsored, sanctioned series of like events that are funded by Visitor Bureau money, tourism tax dollars, would pay the Grand Marais Music Collaborative to host an official concert, if you will, on Sundays, for example, pay the musician a small stipend, collect a little administrative fee for themselves for, running the schedule and, running the rules. And, really being the event organizer and the event manager of an official Music in the Park series. People can go on a calendar, see who's playing next week, something much more structured than an individual with an individual peddler's permit on the PK calendar, right? How we talked about Pete Kavanaugh keeping that Google
Right,
calendar
right.
for individual musicians. That's a separate effort.
And that would stay,
That would still be available.
but they're not Sunday, Monday, Tuesday?
That's what's in flux right now, is
Right, that's in discussion.
based on last year's Blomberg attempted this last year with like a Funky Tonk Productions presents Music in the Park, and it was Sunday, Mondays, and maybe Tuesdays if it rained. And he received funding from Visit Cook County to do this idea of like doing sound, doing schedule, paying a musician, and, putting it out to the world promotionally. Bump's not interested this year. The idea that the Grand Marais Tourism Association and Visit Cook County are interested in that, they felt that brought value to the weekends or to the park and to the downtown community. There's 1% event tax money that can fund that. That's sort of where Todd and the Grand Marais Music Collaborative was brought into the fold as another and perhaps a better suited local musical group or, group of musicians who are doing good work for the community that can pull this off, that have the contacts and the wherewithal.
We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are currently involved in discussions with a lot of the musicians for their feedback on how they felt the program went last year and what they'd like to see going forward. In these discussions that are in flux, initially I thought, is this all going to be one program or are we talking about two? And it seems that it's almost three, where you have our program that occurred last year and Pete Kavanaugh's program that occurred last year. But there's also people who come along individually and just want to create their own events, as you had mentioned. And these would be outside of these programs. And so the scheduling, once our program is scheduled out and Pete's is scheduled out, I don't mean to call it Pete's, I don't think he wants to call it that, but once those two programs are scheduled out, if someone wants to schedule something in and amongst there, that's up to the park board. However, I would recommend that they be directed to one of the two programs and just say, oh, just go in with that. And a lot of the musicians, most of the musicians in our region are trying to book the entirety of their summers right now. So we're under a little bit of time pressure to try and get the funding approved, which has not been approved yet, and to get these schedules created. And I know there's probably a lot more questions that I can try and answer.
Can you
specific.
still have your case open?
I'm sorry?
Can you still have your case open in front of you?
Yeah, what we would do is we would apply for a seasonal permit that would also include the vendor's portion of the permit. So the musician gets paid through the funds raised through the 1% lodging tax,
Yeah.
but they also can vend their own merchandise and ask for tips. It really helped area musicians last year.
Yeah.
Financially, it's been described as a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
And that's part of the mission of the Grand Marais Music Collaborative, is to try and increase the level of professionalism and quality of life for area musicians. So when they approached us with this, it seems like a really good fit. We're willing to help. There's not much really in it for us other than that it meets what we want to do. And an administrative fee was mentioned. That's really just so someone can be responsible for handling the schedules and handling comments.
And the groups or the duos, whoever it is, they're responsible for all their own equipment?
Yeah. Now last year, Bump provided all that and collected a fee for that. We would be turning most of that fee over into pay for the musicians, and then they would bring their own sound equipment. If there was someone out there that wanted to provide sound and do that type of thing, they'd be welcome to do it. But I think musicians would prefer to do their own. They're working for this money, and they can make a little more, and they already have the equipment because they have to play gigs elsewhere. So they'd rather put their equipment to use, and a lot of times they have a much better understanding of their own equipment.
And what hours are we talking about? From 11 or
What was it
10?
last time around?
It was midday. I think it was like
midday.
11 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah. I think ideally this program would fit around other more bigger events should they be scheduled. And that's one of the reasons why it's on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I would hope that we don't step on too many feet, if any, at all. And a lot of times the question comes up, what if there's complaints? And those would come to our board first, through the administrator. Whoever's administrating this would forward complaints to our board. We'd decide on the merit of the complaint and deal with it. If we can't handle it eventually, and if it's a serious enough complaint, it would have to come up here to the park board. You know, at that point, we would have done everything we could. But I don't think there were any.
I was gonna say, did you generate any, was there any generated last year?
Not to me, not to the department, not directly.
Yeah.
We've heard anecdotally of the bit loud,
Right,
depending
yeah.
on the breeze, or bit often, depending on the performer, but the performers are aware of that. We've talked about that in the last few months with the individual buskers, you know. And just to, I think, maybe clarify Todd's point of like, I don't see a third program, really. I see like the individual buskers with the individual permits, scheduling through a shared Google Calendar,
I would agree, yeah.
and then this program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the third is the rogue musician who hasn't gotten permission and is playing in the park with their case open.
Without a permit. Yeah.
Who holds the calendar?
The calendar's online, it's a Google Calendar
For the individuals.
for the individuals.
But for the music in the park events, it's GMCC.
Yeah, for our event,
GM.
it'll be on our website. And ideally, what we're going to do, some of this is still in discussion, is we're going to send out an application to anyone who wants to be a part of the program. Any musician who wants to be a part of the program. On that application, it's going to state a very basic code of ethics of what we're doing here. It'll ask them if any one of them wants to be the administrator. And then it will get their vital information so that we can issue our 1099s. And then once we have all those collected, we will, through a simple lottery system, hand out the dates. And if it turns out that someone's awarded a date they can't do, it goes back into the pool, it's lotteried again. We'll do this twice. Once that's done, after that, it's first come, first serve. Come and collect any leftover dates. We don't know how many dates there will be or what the total pay per date will be because we don't know what the size of the grant is that we're receiving yet. Being that there is some pay and that they can collect for their merchandise and their tips, it works really well for them. And that's basically it. So late arrivals to the program, people who weren't there for the initial application process can contact us and ask if there's any dates available. Otherwise, go into the other program. And that kind of throws a sort of a lasso around the whole music in the park for the summer, I think.
There was no seating at all or anything.
No what?
No seating.
There's
No.
picnic tables.
Just
and
the picnic
bench
tables,
walls.
the benches, and that's it. And
Yeah.
like during Fisherman's Picnic, there might be, they put the benches out, but that's
Yeah.
different. But
We would specify in our program where the musicians set up, which way they point their speakers.
yeah.
It's sort of a light version of what you see in larger city parks around the country, where they may have several locations where people play. And so we would say, set up here. And again, if other musicians want to do something different, they can come talk to us. They can talk to the park board. We can decide at that point how to work around it. But with COVID, the coming and going of COVID, and the lack of venues in the community for musicians to play, and a resident musician population that's been here forever, playing outdoors and busking has become critical. And our season's very short. So organizing it, we're taking a crack at it. Bump took a crack at it last year, and going back further, other area musicians have taken a crack at making this work. And I think we're trying to perfect that a little bit by Jamada coming to us and saying, can you use your board and your accounting to try and organize the payment structure and the gaming structure, and to help deal with any concerns that were brought up in the previous year. So that's basically it. This is in the works. It's running a little late because, again, a lot of musicians have wanted to have their schedules set by now, but they are being patient and waiting for us to find out, and we're just waiting to hear from Jamada. And then we can fill in all the blanks.
And when is that expected?
This week, I would say. I'm on Jamada board. I've seen that email out this morning for approval of the funding of this program. But I also put my hand up to Jamada and said, Park Board hasn't approved it yet. And so good timing tonight. We're able to discuss it. Hopefully, I would suggest tentative approval, even though we don't have a special event application in front of you tonight that really has the details of dates and times and the specifics that maybe you want. I would ask that we have some sort of conditional approval of the concept, you know, and that pending funding approval, we proceed. We can review a formal event application in June. But, you know, as Todd's mentioned, like, the calendars are filling in, and we need to have some kind of contingent approval if this is gonna go forward this summer.
And you approved bump last year.
Yeah. The Park Board did.
Right,
He had
that's
a
what I'm saying,
special
yeah.
event app. I believe it was last minute late, maybe in June. But, yeah, this is, Jamada needs to know that the Park Board supports this program, I think, if they're gonna fund it. The landowner, you know, keepers of the land, which is the Park Board, needs to support use of the space in that, you know, special event application process. But tonight, we're kind of asking for a contingent approval, or a, however you want to word it, support for the program.
Do you own the power they plug into?
Mm-hmm.
And then liability is
It's covered in that special event application. There's a
especially
indemnification
tripping
claim
over
on
the
the
cords
back.
and
Yeah,
ground fault doesn't work and kills your kid and stuff like that.
yeah. That's built into that application.
So why would we do something conditionally?
Because we don't have the application in front of us.
Oh, gotcha,
Yeah.
thanks.
And our next shot, or our next look, is June.
Gotcha. So then we'd have the application in front of us and we could just approve it.
What do you think, Todd? Can you wait till June?
You know, it's just that email thread is getting so busy.
That's
You
a
know,
whole
with
different
everyone
thread.
talking about, I think there's,
What he's referring to is a lot of local musicians right now have been emailing back and forth about busking and scheduling,
Right.
and peddling permits, and the organized program, and it is very busy
yeah.
behind the scenes right now.
A lot of them are booked, and I think it would, you know, the Grammar Music Collaborative, we're a pro-musician organization, we're a pro-music scene, we're pro-music education. I think it would really help everyone within our purview to have this nailed down as soon as possible, to get the approval from Jamada, and so we can give them the exact structure of the program. It's going to resemble very closely what happened last year with this more structure to it, and then they can work everything else around it at that point. So I think it would help.
So our meeting in June, you would think you'd have the money from Jamada
Mm-hmm.
for that meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Possibly this week you might have it, right? And so you're saying that if we could do this faster than by June, that would help you sign up musicians?
Yeah, because we need to get the word out to the public, you know, that this opportunity is coming, get
Yeah.
your names in. With a sort of conditional approval here, we would feel fairly confident that we could start seeking those applications early on, and that we wouldn't expect a very bumpy road going forward with the program. So.
And I'm comfortable with that. As sort of the administrator of the special event application, I'll take any direction tonight as to hours or limits or any concerns that you might have on this, and be sure to include that in the application. But again, if it's, you know, you're okay with this concept and you're okay with the, you know, administrative process of approval, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with that.
This turns,
So you need a motion, or do you need a, just to go ahead? I mean, I feel comfortable with moving ahead with the concept that you have and how it's gonna be organized.
You could motion that you support administrative approval of the special event application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I make a
Go
motion. No,
Second.
okay.
it's been moved and seconded that this project proceed with conditional approval, and then it goes to Dave for finessing out and then back.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And as far as the details with sound and music and noise and all that, I mean, we've been through that on so many of our applications already that I think you're probably just gonna follow those, what's been done in the past and how it's been working. We already know that.
That's right.
There's a record of that.
This program really adds the guidelines to that, to the musicians. I mean, when they're playing for this particular program, they're under the Music Collaborative's,
Right.
you know, as you say, guidelines or
Yeah.
code of ethics.
Yeah.
It's the individual buskers that we have a little less control over, but we've been very,
Right. But we all, yeah,
Proactive.
but when they bring us an application, it's all spelled out
Yeah.
on that, yeah.
So this turns lodging money into music.
Correct.
Beautiful. What a great thing.
It's wonderful.
About 1%.
well, thank you, Todd.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Todd.
thanks,
We'll work
Todd.
out the
Sounds
details.
great.
We'll
Sorry
be
to
in
make you
touch.
wait.
Thank you.
You know, good minor segue here to the final bit of new business I have, and it is a special event application from an individual musician. We were hoping to have them here tonight. I had indicated from Sheila Siferath is the mother's name, her daughter Patience Siferath. Patience is, I believe, a 13-year-old. She is looking to be included in this idea of individual permission for busking and performing. They filled out a special event application, but Sheila sent me like a picture of it. And so it's not very print worthy. She indicated she'd be here tonight so I could make copies of it and it could go around and we could look at it for review. I've got it in front of me. It's very similar to what we saw from Jim and Michelle Miller, from Pete Kavanaugh, and from Tom Knutson. It's very similar. Patience has been a little more specific though and spelled out her dates. She only has 2 dates in mind for performing. June 11th from 4 to 5 and August 13th from 4 to 5. So 2 appearances, Patience Siferath. Everything else is like standard boilerplate, special event application, you know, signatures in place, individual musician looking for permission to use Harbor Park for busking. I would recommend approval.
And June 11th is a Saturday, and August,
Was that August 14th?
13th,
13th.
Saturday.
yeah. And so again, this would run on the shared Google document, quote, PK, quote, unquote,
Right.
calendar.
And that's for the, it's for the 13-year-old?
Yeah.
We have any issues with minors playing? Not that I know of, I
As
don't.
long as the parents are there, I
Are
would
the
think.
parents, is the parent there with her?
I would bet.
While they're playing, I mean, I think that would be a requirement
Yeah.
for,
They could be
one thing that I
close
would put
by,
on that
yeah.
as a requirement, that there's a
Her mom
parent or
signed it.
guardian with the
Yeah.
person, yeah,
Yeah.
just to avoid any potential, yeah, okay,
Yeah, that sounds good.
yeah.
Who keeps the shared Google document?
PK has been the primary keeper, but I know Tom Knutson as well is like the tech guy behind it.
I mean, you have a hand on that?
I'm in it, or I'm invited, or I'm a
Yeah.
member of it. I
Because I
see
mean,
it,
it's your sand and your power and your view and
yeah,
your park. I mean,
yeah. So I can see it, I can sign up if I want. but
Yeah,
I don't have permission.
Can you play?
No,
yeah.
no.
No.
But yeah, for Patience Siferath, I would recommend approval of her special event application.
Okay.
With the caveat that there be a parent or guardian present.
Yeah. So moved.
Okay.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Why not?
Aye.
As long as she has something else to eat between those 2 dates, that's great.
I'll let them know. Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Any other
Thank
items
you.
to come before this august board? We're good?
Girls softball are playing in the park right now.
Oh, that's exciting. How's the field? Dry?
Really good.
Nice.
Home
Really
opener.
dry.
They were, we had a, Maggie Smith hit over the park home run, Harvard Park. I think we were losing, but they were playing pretty good.
You mean over that inside fence?
Yeah, she hit it out over the fence.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a long ball,
That's a long ball, is right.
yeah. Yeah, dead away, straight center too, so,
Wow.
It's a
Who
short
are they
fence.
playing?
McGregor.
Gregor.
Yeah, go Lady Bikes. So they've got 4 games in the next week at home. Thursday there's a doubleheader. Saturday there's the game at 11, and next Tuesday.
Oh, right.
They've
And
had to
that
really
is-
compress their season. I know they're just playing like in conference teams right at this point because of all the postponements. But yeah, we're great to have them back.
That's great. And that's Bathhouse 1 down there, so that's
4.
open up. 4. Sorry, I went backwards.
Yep, we got
That one's
facilities.
open.
That one's open for them.
Yeah.
Because a double header, man, that's a long time.
Cool.
Apologies for the long but thoughtful meeting. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
No second that.
We're done. Thank you.
Thank you.